video assignments.
5 score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree became a great beacon of hope to the millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to the long end of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free.
That's right. That's right.
100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own country. We have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come here to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our great republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, every American was to fall there. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men and white men, would be guaranteed the inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check that has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation.
Terrible.
So we have come to cash this check. A check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hollow spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. There is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make a real promise of the democracy. Now is the time from the dark, desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial injustice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children.
All right.
Yeah.